You have to take that hood off.
Let's do it. Let's do it. All right. I'll be ready to. Mr. Grant, are you ready, sir?
Yes, John.
Well, yeah, because I'm locked up. Uh-oh. Well, we just have to go over that because it's too much for my dinner. All right, let's do it with two, please. Right. Mr. Glenn, where's your time? Interact.
Can I get 2 minutes?
Yeah. Just do them one at a time. Yeah, that's all. We just have to do the rest this afternoon. That's something she will open. Right. We can do Josh's name. She.
Yeah, they are comfortable. I have love.
This is the love.
Be seated.
I was wondering there.
What's your love step forward, young man?
This is case number 15-762-702, the people versus DeMonta Love. Mr. Love is here today for final conference.
Appears for the record.
Robert Donaldson on behalf of people.
Josh, go ahead. Love, yeah.
Any motion be passed at the final later than.
Conference day is not good for us.
What?
No, the 20th, that's right.
That's Friday.
That's all.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, very good. Any motion be time sent to final later than January 6th. Final conference is going to be on January 20th. Jury trial is going to be on February 22nd. How many witnesses for the people?
After all is done.
12. How many for the witness?
10.
10. How many witnesses? I mean, they say, yeah, court say 4 days. Any and all voir dire questions that will be submitted on the day of trial. Has there been any, who's the prosecutor in this matter? Has there been any discussions about any resolution in this particular matter?
Oh, we're talking, we're talking.
Okay, very good. Is there, the motions that you want to hear, the motion dates, what are they for?
Severance, squash. Severance, squash.
All right. Okay, very good. Okay, I'll see you on those things. Thank you.
Thank you, Judge.
Here, everybody who's
Good time, young man. Yeah.
we need Mark.
Thank
Anything else, ma'am?
We're gonna do Murph, they getting him out.
Judge, can Mr. Thomas and I approach for a moment?
Mr. Glenn? Okay, very good. And then that's it.
I didn't hear a response. Can we approach for a minute, just on schedule?
Okay, come on.
Which one is that?
All right, very good, madam.
Okay. This is case number 15-919-801, the people versus Murph Jack Murph. Mr. Murph also has case number 15-8999. He's here today to be arraigned on the information calendar conference on both cases.
Appearances for the record.
Good morning, I'm Lisa Wilson for the people, and sitting in for Tanya Albanor.
Good morning, Luke England, appearing on behalf of Mr. Murph on both matters. Both matters are waived.
Okay, now, this is Martinez, and this is Martinez Murph.
That's correct, Judge. I just wanted to run amended information pertaining to Mr. Murph.
Okay, very good. Any motion to have the final later December 21st, I'll have a jury trial from any motion shall be timed and shall be filed on the 21st, heard on the 6th of January 2016, and jury trial will commence on February 10, 2016. Let me ask a question. Is there any outstanding,
had to be because he was in the crash.
lab work?
Judge, this is a rape kit case, and there is a lab work, all their DNA has been done, they just have to do the comparison.
Okay, very good. Do you think that'll be done by that time?
It should be.
We need to put a note on it. It has to be, okay?
Yeah, I will email the lab, the trial date today, and there will be a 4-4 week notice.
Okay, very good. Do you think that there might be some resolution?
I'll do my best.
He is charged with mandatory 25-year minimum, Judge.
Okay, and this is the DNA?
That's correct. Please call the roll.
Okay. Are they separate?
Yes.
I mean, they're not related.
No.
No.
They're two separate 12-year-old
Under
alleged victims?
Under 13.
Yes, Judge. One was assaulted in 2009 and one was assaulted in 2000.
So this is a result of rape kits that were found or whatever, and they did them? Oh, okay. All right, I'll see you on Tuesday.
This stuff up here and then they duplicate it down here. You see this?
Yeah, he's gonna talk to you in a
This
minute.
says additional
He's
system
in
just
trial right now, he can't talk to you later.
This is
Okay, anything else, Brett? Let's go back on trial. Where's Mr. Thomas? Hey.
Hi, Judge.
All right, bring the jury out.
like he may be suspended for something. That's just suspension. That's
But you
not
could,
arrest.
he gets a further suspension based on other
Okay,
contact.
very good. You can be seated.
Just 7 months.
7 years. Okay.
And that's between 2000 and 2009.
2009. Between 2009.
Where's Mr. Justice? Where? Okay, we can do this. Wait till my dad comes. You ready? Okay. Back on the record on Justice. Mr. Justice came in. Step forward. Why would you come in here late? Okay, that's not, let me just say this to you, right? This better not happen to you. You understand that? Okay, if that means that if there's gonna be some traffic, you better be here at 7:30, because I was about to lock you up. You understand that?
This is case number 14-10080, the people versus Robert Justice. Mr. Justice needs to be arraigned on a case here, and he's
Where's gonna set aside? Yeah. Next week. Raise your right hand and name. You solemnly swear affirm testimony about the given this matter, truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God. You have an absolute constitutional right to have this matter heard by jury. Do you understand that? It's my understanding that you want to waive that right. Is that correct? Anybody promise to in your court otherwise made you waive your right to have a jury trial? And you understand I will be the trier of fact. Do you understand that? And the prosecution will prove each and every element beyond a reasonable doubt to me. Do you understand that? Any objection?
John Dawson on behalf of the people, no, I have no objection.
All right, November 20th. Don't come in late. You hear me? Okay? Don't come in late. And that means you better get here well early. How many witnesses for the people approximately?
Approximately 4, Your Honor.
2. We can't resolve this.
Your Honor, there was a gun board offer to plead the count 1 FIP as well as the CCW and dismiss the felony firearm and the HAB, and we sent agreement of 1 to 5 MDOC.
Oh, okay. And that's unacceptable. See, you have to keep this felony firearm. Okay, very good. All right. I'll see you on November 20th, 2015. Okay, very good. You get your paperwork in a minute. Okay, very good. Let's bring the witness back, madam, on the Melendez matter. Okay, there she is. Let's bring the jury out.
Please be seated.
Thank you, Judge. Ms. Wilson, prior to the break, you and I during the break, you and I had a conversation about the materials that you had reviewed before you came here today.
Yes, sir.
And, Madam Court Reporter, there is an exhibit that I'm going to be looking for. Thank you. Just have it handy. Were you involved in the analysis of the blood as it had originally been drawn?
You mean for the alcohol analysis?
Not just the alcohol, but there was blood that was submitted to the Michigan State Police Post shortly after Mr. Dent's arrest. Is that right?
My records show the blood was submitted, I'd have to refer to my notes to know the exact date.
Please.
We received this blood, the blood that I analyzed, on February 9th of 2015.
All right, and I want you to assume that the arrest was on January the 28th and into the morning 29th. It's consistent then that you would have received the evidence at or about that time, about a week and a half later.
That's not out of the ordinary.
Okay. And did you actually receive the blood yourself?
No, one of my evidence technicians processed the kit.
Okay. And when you say process it, you mean acknowledge the fact that you've received it and log it for analysis?
Yes, we have a protocol in place. We receive 30 to 100 kits a day, so each of them is processed individually and given a laboratory number.
And then secured in some other place?
Yes, locked evidence storage.
Now, you don't have any direct evidence about what it is that happened to that blood kit or to the evidence that was submitted, except for what is the common course that occurs at the Michigan State Police Lab. Is that right?
I can testify to the chain of evidence with this case once it arrived in our laboratory.
But you didn't yourself receive it?
I did not receive it. I have the chain of custody that documents who did.
Okay. Now, 2 vials submitted?
Yes.
And if you need to refresh recollection, was there, they were both blood?
Correct.
And the amount of blood that was in each vial?
Tube 1 had less than 1 milliliter, and Tube 2 had approximately 2 milliliters.
Okay. Now, you testified that tube 1 was analyzed for alcohol. That testimony is in.
Yes,
Okay, and no alcohol was detected.
correct.
Now, was the sample that was used for the determination as to whether or not there was alcohol, did that come from a 1 milliliter tube?
It came from tube number 1, which contained less than 1 milliliter.
Okay. Not optimal for purposes of analysis, would you agree?
We prefer to receive more blood.
And typically, when you do receive it, it's typically more than 1 or 2 milliliters. It's typically more. Would you agree?
Yes.
All right. And ideally, you would like to see as much as 6 milliliters of blood.
We prefer to get as much blood as possible because we never know how many tests we're going to have to do on the blood.
Now, you talked about your experience and the fact that, you know, you've managed the lab as an assistant director, is that right?
Now I'm the assistant lab director.
Okay, and so ideally, well, you see a lot of blood coming through, and typically it is certainly more than 2, but you would prefer to see 6.
I prefer to see as much as we can get submitted.
Well, what happened with that first analysis on the alcohol? Was it determined that you could use that blood draw to make a determination as to whether or not there was any alcohol in Mr. Dent's system? And I want to clarify this, when the blood was drawn.
Correct. The results of this analysis are for this blood at the time that it was drawn out of his body, which in this case is 3:58 and 3:59 a.m.
All right. I'm going to ask you to take a look at what has already been marked and received as Defendant's Exhibit Number 1, which is an alcohol and drug determination form. Is that form familiar to you?
It is.
Is that the form that you relied on to make a determination as to when it was that the blood was drawn?
Yes, I have my own copy of this form with our laboratory number on it, but it is a copy of the same
Is it any
form.
more clear than mine?
It's a little better than yours.
Now, the process for this to occur, are you familiar with how it is that a blood and alcohol draw occurs?
I'm familiar with it, but I've never been there for one.
Do you have any particular facts about this case as to who it was that signed the affidavit to get the blood and alcohol?
I don't have that information.
So, now, the blood was drawn at 3:58, 3:59. Do you know when it was that Mr. Dent was arrested?
I have a time of incident on this FSD 93 report.
And what is that time?
The time is 21:40 p.m. on the 28th.
Now, we're talking about almost 4 o'clock in the morning on the 29th. And when we talk about military time, are you used to converting that?
I am.
How many hours is it that have passed since the time of that incident?
Well, from 9:40 p.m. to 3:58 in the morning. So a little over 6 hours,
Almost 6 hours and 15 minutes.
approximately.
All right, now, did you review the medical records in this file?
I reviewed them when I was provided them by the prosecuting attorney.
Okay.
I did not have them at the time that I performed the analysis.
Do you have any recollection of anything as it relates to the ingestion of cocaine, the defendant's statements related to his ingestion of
Judge, I'll
cocaine?
object at this point. One, that goes outside the scope of this witness's expertise as to whether or not somebody, what Mr. Dent may or may not have told individuals in the hospital. It doesn't fall within the purview of a
It's the
toxicologist.
same rephrase.
Well, I was going to ask the question and then say, did she rely on it? And I guess I can just go to the next step if you'll let me, Judge. Did you rely at all on those medical records as to what anybody said?
Well, again, Judge, I'll object. If he wants to ask her which record she reviewed, she can answer that.
It's the
He's
same.
assuming she reviewed the
It's
whole.
the same.
So then I'm going to ask you if you reviewed Mr. Dent's statements or medical records as it relates to cocaine.
I have some medical records, about 6 pages worth, but they don't contain any statements by Mr. Dent.
Okay, let me ask a question. What did you rely upon to reach your conclusion?
I didn't rely
I
upon,
mean, any testing.
I did not rely upon these medical records.
These
I did
being
not,
the ones from.
correct. The only document, they're from Garden City
Oh,
Hospital.
you didn't rely on them.
No ma'am.
Okay, what did you rely upon?
I relied upon our testing protocols that we use in our laboratory. I process this case like I process every of the other hundreds or thousands of cases I do a year.
So if you were to receive, like in this matter, the medical records, you didn't say, well, let me see what they did and let me do a different test, or you say, irrespective of what they did, I'm gonna do my own test?
That's correct. Even if I receive something that says, you know, that somebody has admitted to using a particular drug, if that drug doesn't show up on the drug screen or the confirmation, it doesn't make any difference.
I think that you, when asked about your qualifications earlier, you basically said you don't testify for either side, you just testify as a result. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay. Okay, so you're basically saying here that when you did your testing, whatever Garden City says, you didn't say, well, let me review those.
I just received these records a couple of days ago, so I performed this analysis way back at the beginning of the year, so they had no impact on my results at all.
And that's the protocol of the Michigan State Police to do them independently of any medical record?
We sometimes will receive medical records, it's rare, but even if we do receive them and we review them as part of our case record review, those medical records aren't going to have any bearing upon our test results because we have the protocols that we follow the same for every single case that we do.
Okay, very good, go ahead. So you didn't do anything special in this case?
No, I did not.
Okay, go ahead.
She's here to testify,
And?
so I want to ask a question, can I?
We'll do it.
All right. Ma'am, your testing protocols are set up to ensure.
You gotta keep your voice up, Mr. Thomas.
Your testing protocols are set up to ensure the reliability of the testing that occurs.
Correct.
And the reason why they set up protocols is because there's a never-ending quest to make a determination as to what is accurate and what is correct.
We always want our results to be accurate and correct.
And so, towards that end, these protocols are employed, correct?
Yes.
All right. But are you saying that the testing in all cases at the Michigan State Police that are done by protocol are 100% accurate?
All of our testing is accurate. We have reviews in place, so all of our protocols are set up to have all of those reviews and safeguards in place to make sure that all of the testing that we do is accurate. For instance, if we have a screen result...
The question goes to whether or not you're sitting here telling me that all tests at the Michigan State Police are accurate and correct.
I can't testify as to every single case done by our lab. I can testify to this case that I did.
And thank you.
Is this accurate and correct?
Yes, ma'am, it is.
And thank you for correcting the record on that. What I want to get to now is whether or not the testing that occurred as it relates to the alcohol had used up the blood sample in item number 1 to such an extent that you could not make a determination as to drugs in item number 1.
Whether or not alcohol had been performed on item number 1, I would not have had enough sample to do a drug test. So a drug test would have always had to have come from item number 2.
Okay. And was a drug test done on item number 2?
Yes.
And when was that done?
I will have to refer to my notes to refresh my memory.
Take your time.
I performed the drug extraction, which is the method we use to prepare the sample for analysis, on April 7th of 2015.
Now, the original alcohol was done when?
The alcohol report was completed on February 12th of 2015.
So you're about a month and a half afterwards that you now are going to analyze the second vial?
Yes, the confirmatory analysis was performed a month and a half after that.
Okay. Now, you asked for what it is that is termed a confirmatory analysis. Your analysis of the blood, in this case, did not confirm that there were any other drugs in his system except for, you can pronounce it,
Phenytoin.
phenytoin. And you describe phenytoin as an anti-seizure medication.
Correct.
Okay. So, no cocaine
Correct.
shows up in the blood. No cocaine, and no other drugs other than phenytoin shows up in the blood.
That's correct.
Okay. And it is because of that that you say that your confirmatory determination was that he did not have blood in his system. Cocaine in his blood.
I did not detect cocaine in the blood.
Okay. Now, that is as of the blood draw at what time again?
3:58.
All right. Now, you...
Well, I'm sorry, 359, because it was done off of 2-2.
So the second one was at 359.
Yes.
Now, you haven't testified as to whether or not there would have been, or could have been, any cocaine in his system at any time prior to 359.
I would have no way of knowing that.
Okay. Were you aware of a urine drop, a urine assay that was done as a part of the medical records in this case?
Yes, I was provided with that.
Okay. Is that one of the things that you did not rely on in making your determination that there were no drugs in Mr. Dent's system at 4:59 a.m. on the following day?
I did not rely on that. I just received it on Friday.
Okay. And when you received it, did you review it?
I did.
Did it, and it's already into evidence, so we don't have to quibble about it, did it indicate that a urine assay was requested by the physician in this case?
Yes.
And in your experience, is that something that is ordinarily done in situations where people who have been hurt are going to the hospital?
When I did work for Toxicology Testing Center, it was part of Sparrow Health System, and it was a routine thing that we did in toxicology, which was these immunoassay urine screens when people come into the hospital so the physicians can determine treatment based on those results.
Physicians order that regularly in situations where there's trauma?
Yes.
And they rely on it, do they not?
I believe they do, yes.
And is it your experience at Sparrow Hospital in doing the determinations of what is in the blood? Is it your experience that you also see doctors doing confirmatory blood tests?
Judge, I'll object at this point twofold. First, her experience at Sparrow Health Center has nothing to do.
Well, I didn't know about Sparrow. How long were you at Sparrow?
Again,
It don't make a
I
difference.
want to qualify her for the practice, Judge.
Now you want to qualify, huh?
Well, you'll tell me whether I can, but I want to know
I don't want to.
if I can.
No, let's not do that.
All right. Isn't it true that the blood test or that the urine test showed that there was a presence of cocaine?
It showed a presumptive positive screen for cocaine, yes.
What does that mean in your jargon?
In my jargon, that means the screening test was positive for cocaine, but there was no confirmatory analysis performed.
Okay.
So does that mean then that there...
She can't, I'm not going to allow her to testify as to what they did. If there's an expert from there, we'll deal with that, but that's outside the scope right now.
Okay.
Okay. Because their procedures could be different.
Well, all right. We know that your confirmatory test showed a benzo something.
It did not. The confirmatory test that I performed was phenatoin was positive. and I was
Phenatoin
dealing
is
with
what I
it.
meant to say.
Okay.
I'm now confused. And the phenatoin is a drug that is the anti-seizure medication.
Yes.
Okay. Did you review the medical record to determine whether or not there was any of that drug, the phenatoin, administered to him that evening?
I did not.
If it had been administered that evening, would you expect to see it in his blood?
Yes.
Why?
If a medication is administered and the person then has that in their bloodstream, they're chemically under the influence of it, I would expect to see it in a blood test if it's within the scope of that analysis.
Any medication that had been administered to him that you were doing a screen for might have shown up, wouldn't you agree?
Any substance that was within the scope of the analysis. So every test doesn't identify every single drug under the sun is what I'm saying.
Okay.
So if somebody's administered a drug that's within the scope of the testing that I'm doing, then I would expect to see it.
Hypothetically, if the phentoin was administered to him at the hospital and you had done a test and it did not show up in your blood test, what conclusion would you draw from that?
It could have already metabolized out of the blood, or it could be a drug that was not in the scope of the test. But since the phenatoin is in our scope, that
Oh,
would-
yeah.
that wouldn't be.
Let's go back. All right. Fentanyl is in the scope of your drug test.
Yes.
If fentanyl was administered and it didn't show up in your confirmatory test, what conclusion would you draw then from that?
I think I just answered that it's possible that it could have already metabolized out of the blood.
Or a mistake might have been made in the assessment.
In the testing?
Yes.
That it was missed?
Any mistake. What types of mistakes could occur?
Well, our protocol states that we have to look for a certain number of drugs in our analysis. So the fact that in this particular analysis we have about 25 drugs that are quantified and then a bunch of other drugs that we can qualitatively identify, like the phenytoin stays present. I wouldn't expect that it would be missed, particularly because the screen was also negative.
But I am asking you a hypothetical based on whether or not the screen did not show phenytoin. And that hypothetical, would one logical assumption be that a mistake had been made in the analysis of that particular blood draw? Just that.
No, knowing our protocols that are in place, I would not expect that drug to be missed in the analysis.
But I just told you that there was fentanyl that had been administered, but that the protocol did not show it.
No, you asked me hypothetically if it showed up negative after it was administered. I indicated that it was possible that it could have metabolized out of the blood, and when you asked me if it could have been missed, I said I would not expect that to occur with our protocol because we have layouts in place that we look for every single drug that's in the scope, so I would not expect that to be missed during the analysis portion of this testing.
Okay. And it was when you said I would not expect that I asked you the question. Do you rule out the possibility for a mistake in all cases?
I can't.
Judge, I'll object to all cases.
Sustained, that's too broad.
Well, based on the protocol that you are talking about, is it your testimony then that the Michigan State Police is not capable of mistake because of the
Counsel,
protocol?
that's not what she's saying.
That's what I'm
That's not
asking.
what she's saying. Let's ask, in this particular case, what she did, is it beyond the realm of mistake? No, that's just too broad. Go ahead. What did she
Okay,
do?
so if in fact it doesn't show
What doesn't show?
on the blood test that fentanyl had showed up when it had been administered at the hospital and the records confirmed it, you would then relate to the fact that the fentanyl not showing on that record might be due to metabolism.
Judge, at this point, I'm going to object for two reasons. One, it's cumulative. Second, it's an improper hypothetical as it assumes the exact opposite of the facts that have been placed in evidence here. Here we have a positive test for phenytoin. He wants her to continue to assume that it's not there and then try to
It's sustained.
Let's move to what we really do know in this case. And that is that when you did your blood analysis, your confirmatory blood analysis, that you did not find cocaine in it, did you?
I did not.
And that's the parent. That's what you're talking about as a parent.
That's correct.
Okay.
Now, I want to ask you about one of the reasons why that might not have happened, and that could be metabolism, correct?
You mean that it was taken long enough ago that it had already metabolized out?
Right.
That is possible.
And you told us about the half-life of cocaine in a person's system, and you cited a medical record.
A time of 4.5 hours.
Well, Judge, thank you for that. That's 4.5 hours for the metabolite, is that right?
Yes.
Okay. Now, there are two metabolites for cocaine in the system. Is that correct?
There are many more than 2 metabolites for cocaine. The article, I believe, references the half-life of 2 of the metabolites, but does not go into all of them.
Okay. And since you didn't find any metabolites, how do we know which metabolite it is that we have to use to determine how long it took for it to dissipate?
I'm not making any assumptions as to what was in the blood before I tested the blood. I tested the blood that was taken at 3:59 and it was negative. So I can't start, wondering who you was.
It's not proper. This
Your Honor.
witness can only say what she did and what she tested to.
She has testified on direct that there are 2 metabolites, and she cited this report. One of them says 4.5 hours, and the other one says 3.1 hours. Would that make a difference, ma'am? The difference in the time for the metabolite to have had a half-life expire, would you consider a 1.5 hour difference to be a significant difference in terms of determining whether or not your test actually tests somebody who used cocaine that shows up negative?
My test showed that it was negative. If you're talking about the metabolism of cocaine, different metabolites metabolize at different rates. So I believe you're still asking me to make the assumption that there were metabolites there at some time.
I am.
If somebody ingests cocaine, it will be metabolized into many, many metabolites in the body. There are a long list of metabolites that can be identified using this procedure. I did not find any of those metabolites. We did reference earlier the 4.5 hours for benzalketine. I believe it was 3.1 hours for ethylene methyl ester.
Yep.
There are many other metabolites that aren't even referenced in this article, and I am not aware of what the half-lives of all of those are. I would have to think it would have been similar to those metabolites.
But your testimony is you didn't find any of them.
That's correct.
Well, we're trying to explain, Judge, why it is that she didn't find something.
No, she didn't find them based, let me ask this question. You did not find them based on your testing, is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay, very good.
But
So
her
no,
testing...
that's it. Listen.
No, Judge, please.
No.
May I make a separate record?
Go ahead.
What we're trying to get to
Judge,
is
I'd
what
object
is
to this.
Wait,
cocaine.
let him make a record.
I understand, Judge, but if I would
Let
ask...
him make a record. Go ahead.
What was the cocaine in his system at the time he was arrested?
Would you want to make a record?
Well,
Now you answer the question.
No, that's what I'm trying to ask you to let me do.
What?
Find out whether or not there was cocaine in his system at the time he was arrested, based on the half-life information that she gave us.
She can't answer that question.
Well, how can she not? She said it's 4.5 hours on one and 3.1 hour on
What
another.
she found. Yes, Mr. Prosecutor.
Judge, yes, I was going to object, and then you told me to sit down. So I object to this. This witness is a toxicology expert. She's not an expert in body chemistry and metabolizing rates or things of that nature. If counsel wants to bring someone to do that, he's more than...
I have no objection to that. I just don't believe this witness is qualified to do what you want her to do.
How many half-lives expired between 9:45 in the evening of the 28th till 4 o'clock in the morning?
For benzoylecamine?
For the one that you said.
Which one? She said two.
Benzoylecamine is the major metabolite that has a half-life of 4.5 hours.
Okay, how many half-lives
So,
expired?
not quite 1.5.
Okay, and how many half-lives expired for the other one?
The ethylene methyl ester was 3.1, I believe, so that is approximately 2 half-lives.
Okay, now when you say half-life, explain that to the jury. Explain it.
When a drug is present in the body, the half-life refers to the amount of time that it will take the body to eliminate half of that drug. So you have a certain amount of a drug. If it has a half-life of 4.5 hours, after 4.5 hours, half of the drug that had been present at the beginning will now be gone, and the other half will remain.
Would you agree with me that the number of half-lives that have to expire before there is 0 drugs in a person's system, per your testing, would vary based on the amount of drugs that were ingested?
Yes.
Would it vary based on the size of the person that ingests them?
Yes.
Would it vary based on whether or not they've had anything else in their system, like food or whatever?
That is possible.
Would it vary based on the amount of time that would have passed from the time that he took the drugs until the time that you took the test?
The time, that's what the half-life is. It's the time to elimination.
Okay. Now, you said that you didn't find anything else except for the fentanyl in his system. You said that you did not find cocaine in his system when you tested his blood. Is that right?
Yes.
You didn't find any opiates either, did you?
No, I did not.
Ma'am, you reviewed medical records, did you?
On Friday, I reviewed medical records.
Did you see the medical records that have been introduced into evidence that showed that at 1 o'clock he was administered morphine, 4 milligrams of morphine?
I have not seen those medical records.
Well, if he had been given morphine, wouldn't you agree, ma'am, that if you had a valid test, that morphine would have shown up in your blood test at that time?
Not necessarily.
And so is it the same things that I'm saying as it relates to
Wait a
time?
minute, why wouldn't it?
Because morphine has a very short half-life, so it doesn't take long for the body to eliminate the morphine. So even if somebody's administered morphine, if enough hours pass, by the time you do the blood test, you will no longer see the morphine.
What is the half-life of morphine?
I don't have that record with me.
Is the half-life of cocaine 0.8 hours on average?
According to the basalt text, yes.
Not only according to the test, according to the article that you just quoted.
I said the basalt text, which is what the article came from.
I'm blind and I'm deaf. Right. Is the rate of metabolism for morphine, is it more or less than cocaine, if you know?
I don't know.
Would you expect that opiates would metabolize?
All opiates metabolize. It's the function by which the body gets rid of the drug.
In addition to metabolizing, it converts the opiate into a different chemical, does it not?
Some opiates have metabolites and some do not have metabolites that are detectable.
Okay. The type of opiate, morphine, does it have metabolites that are detectable?
With our procedure, we do not detect morphine metabolites.
So you just detect morphine.
That's correct.
But the one thing that you're sure of, when you did your blood test, on the second blood test, is that you didn't find any morphine in his system.
I did not find morphine and the screen was not positive for opiates.
You would expect that it would have been positive for opiates if he had been administered morphine.
No, I'm not a physician. I can't tell you how long the morphine would be in the body.
Just say you can't answer. Can you answer that?
No, I cannot answer
Let me
that.
give you a better hypothetical. I inject somebody with morphine at the hospital.
What time?
You take your test an hour later. Okay, would you expect to see opiates on your drug screen?
I think it would be likely, yes.
All right. Now, what you can't tell me is if I take it 4 hours or 5 hours or 6 hours later, right?
I have no idea. I don't know how much they were administered, and I'm not an expert in how that.
Counsel, this goes beyond the scope, and it's confusing.
Well, let me see if I can clarify it, okay?
Okay.
You did a test looking for all drugs, correct?
I looked for all the drugs that were in the scope of this particular test.
And those drugs that were in the scope of that particular test certainly was fentanyl,
Yes,
certainly was opiates,
yes,
and certainly was cocaine.
yes.
And you didn't find no opiates, and you didn't find no cocaine.
Judge, those are
How's
both
that?
double negatives, so I'm going to
Right.
object to the point of the question.
Same rephrase.
You didn't find opiates or cocaine in the blood that you tested.
I did not.
You now know, do you not, that he was administered morphine.
You told me that he was administered
Judge,
morphine.
again.
The record will speak for itself.
Scope of knowledge in this case. She's indicated before she doesn't know this.
You want me to show her the exhibit and ask her?
Overruled. You know now after you review the medical records, is that correct?
The records that I was given was just the urine drug screen and the urinalysis. So I was never given any records showing what the subject was administered at the hospital.
Do you have the valid records, Counselor at Law?
I do. May I approach
You
you?
may.
I'm quoting from page 3 of the exhibit, which, do we have a number for that?
This is, it'll be admitted by stipulation as People's Exhibit 12, I believe.
And I wrote all over it. Hope you don't mind.
Well, I have the exhibit, if you
Let's-
like.
Can you show an exhibit?
What page?
3.
Don't take that paper clip off.
I didn't. I was reading. And would you take a look at page 3 of exhibit
12.
12? Do you see it?
I do.
Have you reviewed it?
I have.
It's been introduced into evidence. Does it not show that morphine was administered to Mr. Dent that evening?
It appears to show that, yes.
What
And
time?
What time?
Sorry.
What time?
Thank you. It appears that it was 1:17 a.m.
And that's 1:17 a.m. How much was administered to you?
4 milligrams and 2 mLs.
What does that mean?
I'm not a physician, so I don't know.
4 milligrams, you know what that is, right?
I do.
That's a quantity of morphine that would show up in a blood test if it was taken within the time frame that the half-life had not expired. Would you agree?
If the half-life had not expired,
Yes?
then yes, it would show up.
All right. But you didn't see it in yours.
I did not.
You didn't find any cocaine either.
I did not.
So now, what conclusion does that lead you to? Does that challenge in your mind whether or not your test was either accurate or done in enough time to determine whether or not Mr. Dent had anything in his system?
It was not. It does not make me question whether the test was accurate.
And that's because you're here to testify for both sides?
I'm here to testify to my results.
No further questions.
You discussed the chain of custody earlier. What is a chain of custody?
The chain of custody is a document that we print out and bring to court with us that shows who had custody of the samples at any time that they were in our laboratory. It also shows the time frames with which they were contained in locked evidence storage.
Did you review that chain of custody prior to conducting your testing of the sample?
It's not something that I review before my testing. It is something that I use our laboratory management system to transfer the evidence out of locked evidence storage when I remove it, and then place it back in when I'm done with my analysis. So it has an entry for me.
Was there any indication in the chain of custody that these items had been tampered with in any way?
Objection, foundation.
Judge, she says that the chain of custody ensures that...
May I refer to my chain of custody?
If it'll help refresh your recollection.
No, it has the transfers that I would expect considering the analysis that was done in this case.
What's that mean?
That means that for each different test that was done, it shows somebody taking it out of evidence and putting it back into evidence.
Okay.
Mr. Thomas asked you a lot of questions about the reliability of the test here. You indicated there's a protocol for Michigan State Police to do these sorts of tests?
Yes, there is.
All right. And being a boss of the unit as you are, you would know those protocols inside and out?
Yes.
What is your exact title again? I didn't want to not give you a promotion.
A few weeks ago, I became the assistant laboratory director. Before that time, when I did this test, I was the toxicology unit supervisor.
All right. You're very familiar then with the protocols?
I am.
Did you follow all of the protocols that you're supposed to?
Objection. She may have, but the question is whether anybody else did.
She can only testify to what she did. Go ahead.
Did you follow all of the protocols during your testing?
I did.
Did you commit any mistakes during your testing?
Objection. She's vouching for her own testimony now. We're going to let that happen?
Well, wait a minute. Judge, he asked specifically about mistakes that she may or may not have made. So I'm simply asking if she made any errors.
Don't help her now. Go ahead.
The results that you reported in this case that are written down here in People's Exhibit 9, you're familiar with those results?
I am.
Do you stand behind those results?
I do.
Mr. Thomas made some reference to the smaller amount in Tube 1 and whether or not that would have affected anything. Does it affect the testing of alcohol, the amount of blood you have?
It doesn't affect the results of the alcohol testing. It's just that For alcohol testing, we need 1/10 of a milliliter, so we need at least 1/10 of a milliliter to perform that particular test.
If you didn't have that in a vial, what's the protocol?
If vial number 1 did not have 1/10 of a milliliter, then we would sample from tube number 2.
And if neither had the amount of blood that was necessary, what would happen?
We would report that there was insufficient sample to perform the analysis.
There are certain tests, would you agree with me, that use up some of the substance, in this particular case, blood?
All of our testing uses up some of the substance. How much of the substance is used up varies from test to test.
In this particular case, did the alcohol test that was performed use up enough blood that would adversely affect the drug test that was done later on?
No.
May I have just a moment, Your Honor?
Anything, okay.
No further questions from this
Sit down,
Judge. Thank you.
Let's stand up and take a stretch break. Next witness.
Can you mark these up?
Yes.
Next witness. Please be seated.
I need a mark.
Call your next witness. Who is that witness?
We're calling Tawana Powell.
You still under oath, madam. Please we speak. Raise your right hand. You solemnly swear affirm testimony about giving the matter of the truth, please be seated. Please come to this witness.
I am, John.
Pull the microphone close to your mouth. State your name for the record.
Tawana Powell.
Lieutenant Powell, you heard questioning of Mr. Dent, I believe, on Thursday regarding the number of arrests he had had for driving while suspended license.
Yes.
And that number ranged quite high during the course of that testimony, is that correct?
Yes.
How many times was Mr. Dent given a citation for driving with license suspended?
According to the Law Enforcement Information Network, 7 times.
You have now heard testimony from both Mr. Dent and Reserve Officer Zelenowski in this case, is that correct?
Correct.
Would you agree that their description of the precursor events to the beating in question here was significantly different?
Yes.
And were you presented with that dichotomy early on in the investigation?
Yes.
Did you take any actions to see whether there was support for one or the other?
Yes.
What sorts of things did you do?
I did what you call a follow-up investigation. You get an investigation.
Now, wait a minute. Let me say this to you. For the judges of the fact, when you say dichotomy, what's he talking about, dude? What does that mean to you to do that?
When he asked me, what all did I do?
Okay, so he said you get a dichotomy.
Oh, I'm sorry. You get
Would you take that to mean?
details of what occurred.
Okay, and so you're saying that, who gave you details?
Each side, I'm sorry, I would say Mr. Dent gave me a story and Officer Zelenowski's story.
Okay, and so then what'd you do?
I conduct a follow-up investigation to try to find out which of those stories are most likely what occurred.
You're right, Judge. I did tell the jury we'd learned to speak a different language. Thank you for that.
So,
Sometimes I forget what that language is myself, so that's why I did that. Thank you, go ahead.
so what I call that is a follow-up investigation.
All right. Before we get into all of that, did you utilize any public resources to get maps of the locations that we're talking about and photographs of the locations?
Yes, I went on the internet and used Google Maps.
All right.
That's law enforcement, Google.
You better believe it.
And what's the number of the first one, Judge? Are those okay with you, Mr. Thomas?
Did you see them, the exhibit side?
I have seen these, Judge, and I don't have any objection to them.
Very good, for it. What number are they?
They are marked People's Exhibits 13 through 17, and they are all in a hard copy that we'll embed and we'll display them on the screen.
Very good, court receiving, go ahead.
Can we bring the lights up?
The lights?
Did we find our pointer today?
She's got
Okay.
one. The one he was gonna play. Separate.
All right, it's a little dark. Can we get it lighter or no? In any event, this is People's Exhibit number 13, is that correct?
Yes.
And what does it depict? It's one of your Google Maps, is that right?
Yes.
Can you walk the jury through that, please?
This here is a picture of Michigan Avenue. This here would be the eastbound side of Michigan Avenue. This would be the westbound side of Michigan Avenue.
And to the right about, I don't know, a fifth of the way in or so, there's a line going up and down, which appears to be a roadway as well. What is that?
Beach Daily.
And I see an item on the screen that looks like you added to it along the upper semi-parallel line.
Yes, this is a scale that you can use to determine distance from one point to the next.
All right. And does it depict any of the areas that we've heard testimony about, that being the budget end and a place where Mr. Zelenowski said they were doing surveillance in the bus stop and all of that?
Yes.
Could you point those items out, please, to the jury?
This westbound side over here is over where the officers were positioned in their fully marked patrol car with the headlights out. Vehicle pointing in this direction, which would have been north, across Michigan Ave. This location here is where it appears they traveled down, did what we call a Michigan left, and turned here and took a position here. This is a cutout here at a bus stop where the road does not, these lanes of travel, they weren't sitting in the lanes of travel, they were sitting in this little cutout here, right in front of a bus stop, that put them a little further, probably about 4 to 6 feet deep into the cove here. Further down here is the budget end.
All right. It's at the very end of that line?
Yes.
And you indicated there was a scale to that distance, is that right?
Correct.
And how far was it?
If I got it right before the lights went off, I believe it's 600 feet.
All right. And
I'm sorry, 600 yards, I'm sorry.
600 yards. And the jury can see the scale that was added to it.
Yes,
By Google Maps law enforcement, right?
yes.
All right.
It's for real, is it?
No, John.
Okay, oh, okay. I was going to say, this is a new section of Google Maps. Oh, go ahead.
All right, next exhibit, please. It's 14, is that correct? Can you rotate?
Yes.
Yeah, no, that's right. No, that's right the way it is.
Okay.
No, it was right the way it was. My error.
614.
All right. Can you walk the jurors through that one, please?
This here is also the same thing, it's just pointed differently. This would be the, wait a minute, I'm trying to get, okay. This here is eastbound, this is westbound. This is where, the officers, it's kind of dark in here, I need some light to see.
I read the actual picture.
What about the little lights that's right under the, can you see? Can we cut those lights on, please? Can you see better? Madam Witness?
Yes, yes ma'am, I can.
Okay, that's fine. That's worse. I think over there, Officer Beatty, he's deputized in light operation also. Is that better?
Oh, my goodness.
Oh, we just need a little. Just one. That's better. All right. Can you see it? Okay.
Okay, can you walk?
Now, can the judges of the fact see it?
Yes.
Okay, very good. If not, you can also look on that, the TV. Okay, go ahead.
Okay. This here is the location of the surveillance. This is the budget in.
And that's exhibit what?
This is exhibit 14.
Okay.
All right. Next exhibit, please. And what's depicted in 15, I believe?
This is Michigan Ave. This is going to be the eastbound side.
Now, these are not how they appear that day, is that correct?
Correct.
This is just something that shows the freeway, what Michigan Avenue looks like, so the judges of the facts can see, is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, great.
Next exhibit, please. And what's depicted in that exhibit?
This is a close-up view of the budget in motel right here.
This is exhibit 16.
16.
This is Michigan Avenue. This would actually be the westbound side of Michigan Avenue, which is the side where budget in is seated on.
Next proposed exhibit, please. What is that depicting?
This here is a depiction of, it encompasses, this is Michigan Ave here. Michigan Ave, the eastbound side of Michigan Ave goes that way. This is the westbound side. This next block parallels Michigan Avenue.
Now it's in red and blue, did you do that?
Yes, ma'am, you can use functions on Google to do that.
Okay.
This here shows the old Inkster Police Department. This is where the traffic stop occurred. This here, this is Oakland, and it turns into South River Road here. So this is where the apartment complex is in this area. And then you go down here to where the traffic stop occurred in front of the old Inkster Police Department.
And why the difference in coloration?
This is to show where the road changed.
Okay.
And I'm sorry,
The
this the
name of the road.
The road changed here. This is to show where it appeared the traffic stop began. The lights were activated.
All right.
And
Are you
then-
saying it was exactly there?
No, I'm not saying exact, no.
Okay.
No.
Just general.
This is a general depiction of the location.
I'm sorry, I should have asked you on the first one, whether or not that depicts the apartment complex that Mr. Dent said he was visiting the previous witness and the blind man.
On the first
What-
exhibit,
yeah, is that on the
exhibit
first one?
13,
Yeah.
no,
Uh,
no.
How much farther down Michigan Avenue, strike that, the apartment complex is one block off of Michigan Avenue, basically parallel to it, is that correct?
Yes.
In which direction? To the left or to the right?
I'm sorry?
In terms of, if it were shown, would it be off to the far left or off to the far right?
If you're traveling down Michigan Avenue going westbound, and you're trying to get to that apartment complex, it would be on your right-hand side. You would have to make a right turn down Fairbairn. It's not immediately visible from Michigan Ave.
Okay.
You would have to make a right turn down Fairbairn, and it would be immediately visible to you on your left.
Okay. So it's past where Mr. Zelenowski said that they made the observation of the Cadillac, correct?
Correct.
All right. All right, you can bring the lights back up, please. Once again, when did you get this investigation?
March 23rd, 2015.
And did you go looking for any videos that might have captured the events in question?
Yes.
And in particular, did you travel the path that the officers and Mr. Dent did that night?
Yes.
Were you successful in getting any videos from any location?
No.
And what was that a function of?
What was what a function of?
The fact that you couldn't get any videos. Had there been videos and you
Judge,
couldn't
I thought-
retrieve them, or...
Objection.
I didn't finish my question.
We've already went into this on her first testimony.
Oh, go ahead.
There was a time lapse in the time I got the investigation when the events occurred, approximately 2 months, so that inhibited me obtaining video.
All right. In particular, did you go to the area where the apartment was that the woman that testified today was?
Yes, I went to the apartment because it on the officer's video travel path shows that apartment complex, the gated area. So my follow-up was to see if there was any video footage of the traffic stop or the contact visible from any cameras that may be, security cameras that may be in the lot directed towards that street. Yes.
And did you indeed see if there were any witnesses to corroborate Mr. Dent's claim that he had been at that location?
Yes.
And who did you have contact with?
Amy Williams.
All right. Did you have any contact with any other individuals?
Yes, I went to the store that Mr. Dent identified as the place he stopped prior to purchase the alcohol.
And did you obtain any phone records?
Yes, I did.
And whose records did you obtain?
I obtained Officer Melendez, Auxiliary Officer Zelenowski, and Mr. Dent.
And Mr. Dent and Amy both testified to phone calls between the two of them that night at or about this time. Is that correct?
Correct.
And did those phone records corroborate that?
Yes.
And did you also get cell tower information?
Yes.
And we've heard testimony from Mr. Dent that he got into onto Michigan Avenue at 275 and traveled to the area of the witness's apartment. Is that correct?
Yes.
And that he'd been on the phone.
Yeah. Okay, very good. Go ahead. Go ahead, Mr. Donald.
Thank you. I believe the question on the floor was, did those phone records show Mr. Dent on Michigan Avenue up by 275?
Yes.
And did they also show him moving in the general direction that he ended up in, which was, okay, I'll ask it a different way.
Thank you.
Did, in terms of timing, they show him in the area of both the Budget Inn and the apartment complex and where he ultimately was arrested?
Yes.
Officer Zelenowski has previously testified that after their surveillance at the Budget Inn, they made an immediate Michigan left and fell in behind that vehicle. Were you present when such testimony was developed?
Yes.
It changed somewhat before this fact finder, is that correct?
Well, you know, Judge, let me ask a question. Did anything change?
Okay. Did it change in front of this fact finder?
Yes.
And he was given an opportunity earlier to change it, correct?
Correct.
Right. Was the video that you observed consistent with an immediate Michigan Lofton falling in behind that vehicle?
No.
When is the first time that Mr. Dent's vehicle is visible in the video?
The vehicle itself
Yes.
is on Oakwood.
And is there any evidence of a sighting earlier than that?
Objection.
What?
She's telling us what she sees in the video, is that what we're asking?
I'm asking her to help explain the exhibit that's
There's a
been
lot of people
admitted.
that testified, that's evidence. The video
I'll withdraw
itself
the
is
question.
evidence. What are
I'll
we
withdraw
talking
the
about?
question.
Sustain.
All right. I'd like to bring up the video we have queued up. Now, when we're setting this up, Mr. Dent indicated that he believed that Officer Zielinowski had a net hat on that night. Is that correct?
Yes.
Objection. He said at the time that he was being arrested, he was arrested by somebody with a knit hat. That's what the testimony was. Now he's going to ask about what happened in the booking. Let the record reflect we're showing a booking video.
Okay.
Right.
I didn't hear you, Judge.
I mean, what is the objection?
The objection is Dent's not even in that room.
I'm putting this on to show what somebody's wearing, Judge.
Well, then he must have seen the video. He wasn't testifying from his own personal knowledge. How does this go to whether or not Dent testified that the person that was arresting him at the time had a hat on? Show the picture of the arrest and see whether or not Mr. Zielinowski had a
What's
hat
the
on.
purpose for this? I'm sorry.
Officer Zielinowski has a net hat on at the station, and
I'll allow it.
could you identify the individuals that are shown in this particular segment of the video at the booking station?
Not where they're sitting still like this. Their faces are those little.
All right. I'm going to let him play it for a minute, but first we got to identify what we're showing it for the record. What do we got here that we're showing?
This is Exhibit 4. It is timestamp 22/26/21. It's 12 minutes and 13 seconds into the video.
Okay.
It's a booking video.
All right. Play it until you think you can identify the persons involved with that, okay?
Okay. That's Ratliff. That's Melendez. That's Arnica. That is Randazzo. And that's Zielinowski.
Okay, you can stop. Does Zielinowski appear to have something on his head?
Yes,
What is it?
it's a skull cap.
For the record, we pause at 12:58.
Nothing further.
Cross-examination?
Thank you, Judge. Leave that up, please. Lieutenant Powell,
Yes, sir.
you just identified Officer Zielinowski. Who is it that you identified as the larger man?
I believe it's Ratliff, but this is bad right here. I need to, that one's better over there.
Okay. Well,
And she's saying the.
so take a look at the video on the TV if you could.
Okay. Can you put it so I can?
Let's at least be accurate about it.
Okay. Thank you.
Want me to go back?
No.
You want to go back with that?
No, no. You remember the guy, the big guy? You're on, for the record. You remember the big guy that you testified was Ratliff?
At the scene or here now?
Right there.
On that video.
Yeah, I believe it is Radcliffe.
It wasn't Kozlowski?
I don't know who Kozlowski is.
Okay.
What
What-
he's saying is, were you wrong about what you thought you saw? Do you know who that is? Yes or no?
Not from the back right now. If somebody could flip it around so I could see the face, but from the back, I can't tell.
Go ahead.
Okay.
John.
Yes, I'm wrong. That is not Radcliffe. This guy here is not Radcliffe. I am incorrect.
Okay.
And that's at 12:33.
I mean, just for the sake of being accurate, this is a booking scene that occurs after Mr. Dent was arrested and was placed in his cell. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. From his cell, he would not have had a view of anybody that was there.
Not in this shot,
I
no.
mean, I'm not ruling out the possibility he might have seen somebody else at some other time.
Okay.
But really, wasn't his testimony relating to the skull cap of Officer Zielinski, wasn't that at the scene when he said that he had a skull cap on?
Do you know?
You remember?
When you asked him about the skull cap, did he say at the scene or at the booking, or did you ask?
He just referred to as a skull cap. I didn't ask him to differentiate between the locations. I didn't ask
Right,
him
but
that.
that's not the question. Didn't testimony come in from him that the person who was working on his arm was the guy with the skull cap on?
Did you hear that?
I'm not sure.
Counsel, that's for the judges of the facts and determine. Let's move on.
And they'll decide. They'll have a chance to look at the video. When you look at the video, Zielinski doesn't have a cap on.
At the scene, no.
No. All right. And the first two people that are having contact with him are Melendez and Zielinski.
Correct.
All right. Now, you say you went to Google Maps and you took a look at exhibit number 13. Can I see?
13.
Can I
Yes,
see
sir.
13?
Cue up 13.
I started here because that's where we were at. Let's go back to the very beginning. All right, now, when I go to Google Maps, I can pull up and it'll show me that scene, correct?
Yes, Google Earth, yes, it
Google
will.
Earth, and that's Google Earth, and it's showing Michigan Avenue, is that right?
Correct.
It shows the turnarounds, correct?
Yes, sir.
It shows the businesses, correct?
Correct.
You have your spotter?
Yes, sir.
All right, where is the budget in?
The budget end is here.
Well, now, hold it still. Is it that building that you just circled?
Yes.
Okay. And where is it that Officer Melendez and...
Can you cue that up and make it a little closer, make it bigger? Where she just did. Yeah, there it is. Is that what you're saying, that white building top?
Right here is the budget end.
Okay.
Okay, so it is not the building that you circled, it's a little bit to the left of it, in fairness, correct?
Right here.
And the end of that line that is put in there, the end of that line is the driveway going into the budget end, would you agree?
Yes, sir.
Now, as we look at the budget end, there is, it looks like a parking lot or a dark area. Would you agree that that's a parking lot based on your observations?
Right here, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, sir.
And then there are rooms that are lining on the left and in front of you as you pull in the driveway. Would you
Yes.
agree?
Yes, in an L shape, yes.
And these are it's a one-story place. And budget is...
It's one story, but it's two stories in some places.
Okay. Now, who put that line on there?
This right here?
Yeah.
I put this line on here with the scale.
How was that measured again?
It's in feet. I'm seeing it closer now. I'm having a hard time seeing it in the dark.
It's okay.
Okay.
Believe me, I understand. But I heard you say, I thought you corrected yourself and said that it was 600 yards.
Yeah, I did, and I screwed up. Because I'm trying to read the paper, because I can't do this by memory. I have to do it by what I'm looking at. It's so much stuff. Okay? So this is feet.
So you made a mistake.
I made a
But
mistake.
you're correcting it now.
I'm correcting it now.
So 600 feet is about 2 football fields, correct?
Sure.
Do you know?
I don't
Just
know.
say if you
I don't know. I honestly don't know. I'm going by this
Judge, you
scale.
want to take judicial notice on that?
I don't know.
I knew it. All right,
Depends
so...
on if you're counting the end zone.
the initial line is set up on the right-hand side, and that line is, it begins at the place that Officer Melendez's vehicle.
Go ahead.
You saw the video, right?
Yes, sir.
All right, you put it there, right?
Yes,
All
sir.
right, did you put it there to indicate that it was where Officer Melendez set his vehicle up in that little cutout just before the City of Inkster sign that you see in the video?
Just an approximation, yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
And so it's 600 feet, right?
Yes.
Okay. Now, can I see the next exhibit, please? This will be exhibit 14. This is a crossways view, is that right?
Yeah, can it rotate like the other one? Okay.
And maybe,
Yeah.
there you go. Yes, sir. Thank you
Okay,
so
very
much.
good.
Yeah.
Can you make it a little bit bigger?
Yeah.
Okay, here it is.
Okay. Now, this is a view diagonal to Michigan Avenue from a place that you determined, right?
Yes.
And was this place determined based on your investigation?
Yes, from right it down here and the view of the video.
Okay. Now, when you view the video, you got a view of what the video sees, is that right?
Correct.
So when I'm looking at the video, and I'm certain that the jury's going to look at it, they're going to see just what the video camera saw, right?
Exactly.
You're not going to see what was going on to the left of the video screen. Now, just so that I'm clear, when you got a police car and you got a video in the police car, that video doesn't move, right?
No.
I mean, it just goes straight forward.
Right.
And you looked at Officer Melendez's car and you figured that that was true.
Yes.
Okay. But would you agree that an officer who's making observations from the car has more than just the video of the whatever the camera is showing?
Of course, yes.
Okay. Because you got windows in front that go a little bit further to the left, right?
Right.
And you got windows on the side that you can do that, right?
Correct.
Now, the placement of that dot on the right-hand side, you put there, right?
Yes.
And you put it there based on what you observed from the video, where the car was?
And not necessarily from the video, sir. I just wanted to depict from this lot to that lot.
Okay.
I wasn't trying to depict his viewpoint or anything like that. I just wanted to show, to get an idea of the area and from where he sat to where the budgeting is.
Okay, so it's not necessarily accurate, within feet, but it is generally what it is that you wanted to see, and that is, what would you see if you were looking diagonally?
Exactly. I just wanted to bring the scene to here.
This this picture is taken during the day.
Yes, sir.
All right. Obviously, it wouldn't show up the same at night.
Exactly.
What you got, though, is you got streets, and you can see where the streets are in relationship to the budget end, correct?
Correct.
And you can see actually the turnarounds, at least the turnarounds on the left. Would you agree?
Correct.
Now, while you're looking at the video, and we don't need to go to that, but while you're looking at the video, you see that it's at night. Agreed?
Correct.
And you see that people have their headlights on.
Correct.
You see that headlights are traveling eastbound to the right, correct?
Correct.
And there's traffic going in that direction.
Correct.
And then they're coming westbound to the left.
Correct.
Now, can you see the color of cars?
No.
Can you see whether they're light or dark?
No.
Can you see whether or not they are Cadillacs or something else?
No, not from this viewpoint, no.
Not from this viewpoint, no. But if I were sitting in Mr. Melendez's car looking, let's do this differently. If I was looking at the video will show that it's dark out, right?
Yes.
It will show cars going by, right?
Yes.
You can even identify some of the cars that are going by.
Correct.
Both eastbound and westbound.
Correct.
Now, if I were driving that night and had turned into the budget inn, okay, would that have showed up on the video?
From what point?
From
what
the
point?
video that we see that's in evidence.
Not for, I'm trying to get what you're saying. You, that's kind of broad what you asked, because they're sitting in different locations.
Cars where it is in the motel on the other side of Michigan Avenue.
Okay,
You got a video going, okay?
okay.
All right, that video doesn't show cars turning into the Budget Inn, does it?
No, you can't see that.
No, you can't see that from the video.
Correct.
Now, from the car, however, with headlights on, going in a westerly direction, would you expect that someone would see someone pulling into the Budget Inn?
I would expect them to, yeah.
It's not so far that you couldn't see that.
Yep.
Agreed?
It's true, but you know, this is raised, this is kind of raised as well too,
But
so
it's not raised so much that I can't see traffic going in a westerly direction.
you can see headlights. When I see from the video, I see headlights and things like that traveling down the road.
So you don't see any particular car?
No,
You don't see whether cars are light or dark?
you can tell like if it's a truck or SUV, in some cases you can tell, you know, if it's a smaller car or a larger car. From me looking at the video,
Okay. But you can't see light or dark?
no.
All right. But you do at least agree that if that vehicle had an occupant in it at that particular point, now, over the or now?
Right here?
No,
Are
that
you-
little dot is it?
You talking about right here?
Yeah. That you would be able to see or observe the Budget Inn.
I would be able to look from the video where I can see, because like you said, I don't have a viewpoint where I can turn my head left or right. I have to see what the video's seeing. When I see what the video is seeing, I see this vantage point here. I don't get to see all of that.
All right, now, I was asking you questions about
Okay.
from the video, just to be clear, and whether or not from the video you could identify cars that were going right or left. You agree you could?
You can see cars traveling this way and traveling this way. Yes, sir.
Is that it? Now, I want to go to a different thing,
Okay,
because we asked questions about just what the camera saw.
okay,
The person who is in the car doesn't necessarily see just what the camera saw.
correct.
Okay. And so you agree then that a person who was in the car, if they were looking, could observe more than what was on the video?
Right.
And that more that was on the video could have been a car pulling into...
This calls for so much speculation. I don't know, okay? Nice try. Rephrase. Well, let me ask you.
Was that car in a position
go
to
ahead.
see the parking lot at the
How's it
Budget Inn
speculation?
there?
Speculation.
No, Judge.
Was
She's
the-
an investigator. She
No,
went out there and
that's
looked.
speculation.
She's drawn signs.
No, that's speculation.
Okay? All right. Next one. This is... What's this?
You said next exhibit.
This is
Exhibit
15.
15, and this is Michigan Avenue?
yes.
Okay. When did you take that picture?
This was right around the time of the investigation. I don't know the exact date.
Did you take it or is this Google?
It's Google.
Oh, well,
This is
yeah.
Google.
All right, so let's talk about Google.
Okay.
All right?
Let's not talk about Google.
All right, let's talk about this picture.
Okay.
Okay? You know when this picture was taken?
Yeah, right there.
What is it?
September 2013.
Oh, there's leaves on those trees.
Yes.
Okay. Do those look like deciduous trees?
Oh, my goodness. Break time! We're going to lunch.
No, Judge, just let me finish this one area.
I'll go
Okay?
ahead, I'm sorry.
Those aren't evergreens. Those trees shed their leaves, don't they?
Correct.
In January 28th, you would expect to see those leaves blocking your view, would you?
Correct.
Thank you. Can we go to lunch?
Yeah, let's go to lunch. Let's come back. All right, I'll see you back at 1:40. Our lunch. All rise for the jury. Yeah. Deciduous tree. What did you say they were? Deciduous. As opposed to the okay, very good.
I don't know about...
All right, court's in recess.
No.